Welcome back to Sporting Mentality. It's been a while. It's been too long, to be honest with you. But we are back with some hot takes, some discussion topics, and some interesting opinions about the NFL, around the NFL. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And of course, drop a like wherever you are. Drop a 5-star review to help out the podcast. But the first thing that we're going to talk about today, which is my most anticipated topic for today, is Russell Wilson. Where is he going? What's the best landing spot for him? And is he going anywhere? You see, Russell Wilson right now is on the Broncos. They benched him because he wouldn't change his injury clause of $37 million, whatever it was. So now the Broncos are rolling with Jared Stidham throughout the rest of the season. They're not going to make the playoffs most likely. And even if they do, they aren't going to do anything. So it doesn't really matter. Russell Wilson is no longer going to be a Bronco, obviously. So where's he going to go? Well, there's a few teams that pop up into my mind right away. 3 of them to be exact. And some people were saying the Vikings, the Falcons, those teams, not a chance, 0% chance in my opinion that Russell Wilson even goes close to those teams. I think that Russell has 3 legitimate options, and only one of them obviously is going to happen, but I think only one of them has a good chance of happening. So the Washington Commanders, which honestly, I don't know why they would go after Russell Wilson when they have a decent draft pick, I believe, this year. And I feel like the prospects, even the mid-round prospects like Michael Penix, Bo Nix, those guys, I think they're better than Russell Wilson right now. Russell Wilson's going to be 36 soon. I think he's 30 or 35 soon, whatever it is. So he's in his mid-30s. He's a smaller quarterback. He relies on mobility, so that's going to make him, his stock go down even lower this offseason. So if I'm the Commanders, I don't really go for it unless you hire Bill Belichick, and we'll get to that later. The second team is the Steelers. The Steelers right now are rolling with Mason Rudolph. They're pretty much moving off of Kenny Pickett because Kenny Pickett is not good. He's a good dude and all that stuff, but he's just not a good quarterback. I mean, he wouldn't throw to his best prospect or best target, who is one of the best wide receiver talents in the entire NFL, in George Pickens. He just wouldn't throw to him enough. And then Mason Rudolph goes in there. Guess what he does? He targets George Pickens, and he throws for 300 yards each game. Surprise, surprise. You throw to the best player on your team, and that's what happens. So yeah, I don't think they're going to roll with Mason Rudolph or Kenny Pickett next year. So they're either going to draft a guy, or they're going to go for someone like Russell Wilson, who, a defensive-minded coach like Mike Tomlin, he's probably going to say, hey, Russell Wilson, he can move, he can throw. I think I could work with that. And he's better than Kenny Pickett. He's better than Mason Rudolph, and I believe that as well. Well, let's see what we can do with him. I could see that working out. The Steelers would just have to make that jump. They would have to move off Kenny Pickett. They're too loyal sometimes to their picks. Kenny Pickett, he's not it. He wasn't it at week 1 this year in the NFL, and he's not it at week 18 or whatever it is in the NFL this year. So move off Kenny Pickett, move off Mason Rudolph. I think Russell Wilson, that's honestly one of his best chances, if not the best, for him to get another starting job. I think the Steelers should go after him. Now, this is going to be surprising to a lot of people, but I think this next team is probably his best option, considering the circumstances. If Bill Belichick stays at the Patriots, I think the Patriots could potentially go after Russell Wilson. Bill has had a history on taking chances with older quarterbacks. Cam Newton, Jimmy Garoppolo, people like that, right? So I think Bill Belichick, if it's his last year as the Patriot and he wants to keep his job, he's going to take a big swing. Russell Wilson, with Bill Belichick, maybe they can make something work. Now, the way that this would work, in my opinion, is that the Patriots would keep their first pick, right? They would keep their top 5 pick, draft Marvin Harrison, get Russell Wilson, beef up that O-line, get some more weapons on top of Marvin Harrison, and then give Russell Wilson a real chance, and maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they make, the AFC Championship or something if something pops off and Russell Wilson, plays better than he did this year, which would be like a B+ quarterback. I think with those weapons, that brain of Bill Belichick's and that defense, they could make something happen if Russell Wilson goes there. I want to know your guys' thoughts on that whole situation, though. I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Wilson doesn't get signed. Honestly, that would not surprise me. I feel like there's not a lot of ideal situations out there. I mean, nobody in the AFC South. The Titans, I mean, they're going to roll with Levis, if we're being honest. Levis has more upside. He's younger. He's a stud, stud, quote unquote. But he's in good shape and all that stuff, and he's young. He has the potential. I think they're going to take that over an aging Russell Wilson. So the next thing we're going to talk about is coaching vacancies around the league. Who is going to go where? Who's getting fired? This, that, and the other. Bill Belichick. If he leaves the Patriots, where is he going to go? Well, the Commanders have been brought up. The Chargers have been brought up. Personally, there's some rumors inside the league, around the league, saying that the decision has already been made. And if that's the case, I honestly think it's the Commanders. They're an East Coast team, which I don't think Bill Belichick would travel all the way over to the West Coast to go coach the Chargers and be the GM for the Chargers. And I think with the Commanders, they have a lot of money with a new rich owner, and that rich owner is not going to be afraid to take a swing at one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, and technically one of the greatest GMs in NFL history as well. So 7 Super Bowls, whatever it was, Bill Belichick to the Commanders. I don't think that owner is going to be shy to do that. I think that would be a decent move for Bill if he really wants to keep coaching, which obviously he's going to do until he physically can't. So if he goes there, he'll have Eric Bieniemy as his offensive coordinator, most likely, unless he decides to move off of him, which I think would be very stupid. And he'll have potentially, a new quarterback. Probably not Sam Howell, probably not Jacoby Brissett, as I call him, former Colt legend. He'll probably, maybe Russell will go there if Bill Belichick goes to the Commanders. Maybe they'll draft a mid-round pick. Who knows? I don't really know the Commanders' pick situation, but I think that's Bill's most likely destination. As far as other vacancies around the league, Ron Rivera, whatever his name is, obviously fired at the Commanders. Panthers, I don't think anyone's going to want to go there anymore. Also, about Ron, I think that he has never been that good of a coach, ever. He's a defensive-minded coach. It's turning into an offensive-minded league more and more and more each and every year. I feel like he's never going to get hired ever again. This was his last head coaching job, at least. Maybe he goes somewhere as a defensive coordinator eventually, but I could see him just hanging it up after this year. But yeah, the Panthers, I don't think anyone's going to want to work with David Tepper, the owner, the wild, erratic owner there. But if he gives them enough money, anybody will go there, I guess. So I could see Ben Johnson, the OC at the Lions, going over there potentially. They give him $50 million, he'll take a chance, but that's going to be a hard situation to overcome, to say the least. Now, for the Chicago Bears and the Chargers, the Chicago Bears claim that Matt Eberflus, who's the former defensive coordinator of the Colts, so I know him very well. Not know him, but I know of him very well. They were hinting at potentially him keeping his job, but if they draft Caleb Williams, you cannot keep Matt Eberflus as like the guy who's going to build up your dynasty. That just doesn't make sense. It never will, never has. So if they smarten up and move off of Justin Fields, get a second and third round pick, whatever it is, beef up their O-line and weapons, and then draft Caleb Williams, obviously, I think that's Jim Harbaugh's best possible landing spot. Especially since he used to play for the Bears. He's already in Michigan, so he's right up there in the northeast, west, wherever you go, north central Michigan. So he's right there. He only has to travel like 6 hours to get to Illinois, wherever it is. So I think that would be his best possible scenario. But if the Bears are stupid, the second best possible scenario for Jim Harbaugh, in my opinion, is the Chargers. I think he could turn that into something that, it should be, which is a NFL dynasty. I mean, you have a Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler. Now Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler are aging, but you have a lot of weapons on that team. You have a lot of defensive studs. You have Khalil Mack. Joey Bosa, I believe, is on the Chargers. Nick Bosa's on one of the Bosas. You have one of the Bosas over there. I mean, you have some good corners, Derwin James. I mean, that team has a lot of talent, and Brandon Staley just shit it down the drain, for lack of better words. So I feel like if Harbaugh went there, he could turn that into something that it should be, which is a dynasty in the NFL. Playoff and Super Bowl predictions, I'm not really going to go into all that deep, but I will say if the Bills make it, I would watch out. I know that they're inconsistent. I know that Josh Allen can be an MVP one game and then the worst quarterback in the league the next. I know sometimes they're turnover prone. They don't have a fantastic run game sometimes. But if you catch them on the wrong day, those guys will run through your teeth and absolutely destroy you. They could be Super Bowl champions this year, if we're being honest. If they get in, there's a chance that they don't get in. But if they get in, I think the Bills could win this Super Bowl. I don't think it's a good chance, but I think it's possible. But as far as my Super Bowl predictions, I hope the Ravens win. I think they're equipped for it. I think they're the best, one of the best all around teams outside of the Niners, obviously. But they have the best quarterback in the league. Out of every quarterback in the NFL, who played the best this year? Lamar Jackson. No doubt. No doubt. Lamar Jackson. He improved as a pocket passer. He's so smart, so accurate, so precise. I mean, 321 yards, 5 touchdowns, 158 passer rating. Are you kidding me? Who's better than that? Mahomes isn't touching that this year. Hell, Mahomes, you could argue, wasn't a top 5 quarterback this year, which I don't think he was. Maybe he wasn't even top 10. His passer rating's been horrible. He had under 80 passer rating for 7 games out of this year. All the blame's going on the coaches, the wide receivers dropping the passes, this, that, and the other. Is Mahomes ever going to take any blame? I'm not saying his wide receivers are good, but great quarterbacks are supposed to elevate their talent around them at least to an extent. The Chiefs are another team. They have Mahomes, they have Kelsey, they have Andy Reid. So they are another team that could do some damage. But only time will tell with that. My other teams that I would watch out for, obviously the 49ers. If we're talking NFC, 49ers are scary. Cowboys, I don't really consider them scary. I think the Rams are more scary than the Cowboys. I think the Lions are more scary than the Cowboys. The Eagles, I don't know about the Eagles. I feel like they're done for. Nick Sirianni needs to get out of there, bro. He sucks. I never liked him. He's a douchebag. He's a complete douchebag. Acts like a child. Get him out of there. He doesn't know how to coach an NFL team. So, Nick Sirianni, as soon as his good coordinators left, that team fell apart. I mean, they don't even know what they're doing anymore. They lost to Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. So, yeah, I don't even want to get into that. But the Eagles don't have a chance. No way. I think NFC, you got to be scared of the 49ers, the Lions, and honestly, in the Cowboys, I guess. Cowboys could catch on fire. Those 3 teams, I think we'll see in the Super Bowl. One of them. And as far as the AFC goes, I would watch out for the Browns. I know this whole Joe Flacco thing is a funny joke to some people, but this man, 38 years old, off the couch 4 weeks ago, throwing 70-yard dots. 70-yard dots. If you guys don't know, Joe Flacco has had one of the best, beautiful throws in all of NFL history for the longest time. He just made stupid, dumb mistakes throughout his career, so his stat lines don't look that good. He always threw interceptions, this, that, and the other. But this man can throw 70 yards flat-footed, no question about it at 38 years old. This guy is slinging it, and this is what the Browns needed. Deshaun Watson isn't touching Joe Flacco's production. While Deshaun Watson was in a Cleveland Browns uniform, he did not touch Joe Flacco's production. Not even close. So I don't want to hear all you naysayers out there saying Joe Flacco, yeah, this is funny, but they're not going to do anything. If I'm the Ravens, the Browns are the last team I want to face in the first round. The last team. Why would you want to face them? Joe Flacco coming back to his home turf? An insane Browns defense? That's scary. That is scary. If I'm the Ravens. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen for them, for their sake, in the first round. I think the Browns, I know it sounds crazy, but there's only a few AFC teams that we think that, like, the Chiefs are weak. The Bills are weak and inconsistent. The Dolphins are weak and inconsistent. Are the Browns and Ravens going to take this, to the whatever, Are they going to go one of them all the way? I don't know. The Browns team is stacked. And if Joe Flacco keeps playing like he has for the last 3 weeks, they will win the Super Bowl. Or they'll at least be in it. I'm telling you. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you. I think that is a possibility that the Browns make the Super Bowl. That team is insane. I mean, Myles Garrett was an arguable MVP candidate. He could be, if he won the MVP, obviously people would be mad now, but 2 weeks ago, if you said Myles Garrett was the MVP, no one would look at you weird. That team is scary. And if Cooper's healthy, if their weapons are healthy, if Jerome Ford is healthy, and if Joe Flacco is playing like he has, that team is a Super Bowl team with that weak AFC this year. Hot take of the podcast. Let's go. Last thing is Aaron Rodgers in 2024. What are the Jets going to look like? Are they going to be Super Bowl contenders? This, that, and the other. I have a few things to say about this. A lot of people disrespect Aaron Rodgers on the internet because of his takes. Because he does ayahuasca and psychedelics and sits in his dark room for 4 days. Blah, 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 blah. Right? But I feel like they get the media, Nick Wright, Colin Cowherd, Chris Broussard, all those guys, they think about one thing, they think about one thing only. His flaws. But what they don't think about is what this man has accomplished and what he has done. 4-time MVP. Multiple 4,000 plus passing yard seasons with amazing passer ratings. Super Bowl champion. Aaron Rodgers, I don't give a shit how old he is, how non-mobile he is. This man has the best arm talent in NFL history. That Jets team will make the playoffs if Aaron Rodgers plays a full 17 healthy games. No question about it. They're going to fix their O-line. Probably going to pick up another wide receiver. And they have Garrett Wilson. They have Breece Hall. God. They have Breece Hall. An amazing defense. If Aaron Rodgers plays, that team's in the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to make the Super Bowl, but you guys have to remember who Aaron Rodgers is. This isn't your average old quarterback. This is Aaron effing Rodgers, bro. Like, what are we talking about here? How are we talking about, oh, this team ain't going to make playoffs. I think they're going to go 8-9. Like, what are we saying? This is Aaron Rodgers, okay? Have you watched any tape of the last 15 years of this man play football? It's something that if aliens came down to Earth and they said, I want to see one quarterback in his prime to represent what a quarterback in the NFL means, you would show Aaron Rodgers tape. So why are we talking about Aaron Rodgers not making the playoffs with this Jets team? It's ridiculous. I don't want to hear it. Shut it down. It's so stupid. Oh, God. I got a little worked up there, but I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. I know he says some crazy, sometimes dumb shit, but that man can play football, and that's a fact, and no one can change that. All right, that's pretty much what we have for this podcast. I'm going to try to be more consistent with these, in the later dates here in January and as the offseason picks up in the NFL. And I also will be talking NBA soon with the trade deadline and all that stuff. So if you guys want to stay up to date with everything Sporting Mentality related, be sure to drop a like, hit the plus button, hit the subscribe button wherever you are. And of course, leave a 5-star review, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.